طيب. So the important principle in the spiritual struggle is to carry out what one has determined upon. Al-wafa' bil-azm. If one determines to renounce a desire, then the means to pursue it will be made easier. This is a trial and test from God. And one should therefore have fortitude and perseverance. If one habituates oneself to violating one's own resolution, the soul will come to take pleasure in this and will be corrupted. If every time you have a resolution to do something and you just let go with it, right? Now is a beautiful time after Ramadan in particular that we set resolutions. Right? I'm going to pray every prayer at the beginning of its time. I'm going to pray Fajr in Isha at least in Jama'ah. I'm going to try to pray every prayer in Jama'ah. Right? I'm going to be good to my spouse. I'm going to be good to my children. I'm going to provide my children with an Islamic education and all these other different things. That should it happen that man does violate his resolution, he should compel his soul to accept a punishment for this. As we have already mentioned in the section on the chastisement of the soul in the book of self-examination, vigilance, Kitab al-Muhasaba wal-Muraqaba, of taking oneself to account and vigilance. And they mention in this one of the incidents of Imam Junaid that at one time he broke his resolution and he took a cold bath with fully clothed, with those clothes on. He took a cold bath. And subhanAllah, these people are still alive, you know what I mean? And we were blessed to see one of them, Shaykh Murabit al Hajj in Mauritania. And they would mention to us there, I remember in the winter, it was freezing in the winter, it was freezing. And there was like two types of blankets. There was one that was kind of expensive, but it was extremely soft. One very soft like blanket that once you put it on, la ilaha illallah, like you don't want to get up. Let alone when you're in a tent and it's windy outside and you have to use the restroom outdoors and you don't want to get up at night. And the person I was living with, who was one of the better students, used to pray Qiyam al-Layl every single night. He used to wake up before Fajr. And during the week, not on the day off, he would sleep without a blanket in the middle of the winter. I'm telling you, it was freezing. He'd sleep without a blanket because he was afraid he wouldn't wake up to pray Qiyam al-Layl at night. He used to just hide in his, have you seen what Sheikh Salik wears, the dara'a, the robe? He would just kind of wrap himself in that, and those things are thin. He'd wrap himself in one of those and that was it. And so he could get up at night. The only night he would use his blanket, and he didn't have a nice soft one like I did. He had a cheap one, which is like not even comfortable. It's so itchy. And he would use that one night a week on his night off. Other than that, he would sleep without a blanket. And subhanAllah. And they used to mention, so while we were in the winter, they mentioned to us that Murabit al Hajj, when he was young, that in the middle of the winter, he would intentionally take a cold shower in the middle of the winter. And when he would pray, he would stand right in the cold, freezing wind on purpose. And sometimes his mother would come and feel sorry for him and actually put like a reed barrier between him and the wind, and he'd move out of the way and stand back in the wind. And subhanAllah, this is they just wanted to just completely remove any familiarity or i'tiyad of the nafs. That they just wanted to only have their nafs, inclined towards the divine presence. And it's at that point where you realize, you just can't do it. You can only do that if that's your maqam. And a cold shower in the middle of the winter, out in the open, you just realize there's certain things you cannot do. And that's why you realize that certain people Allah's given them that maqam. And subhanAllah. And at least the door of loving them is open in terms of being like them, right? فَإِن لَمْ تُكُونُوا مِثْلُهُمْ فَتَشَبَّهُوا فَإِنَّ التَّشَبُّهَ بِالْكَرَامِ فَلَاحٌ. Right? That if you can't be like them, then resemble them. Because even in the resembling of the great noble people is success.